tonight we have two unbelievably blow-away sessions. The first one is going to be on Jewish business law. Now, many of you are like, well, Rabbi, I'm not in business. I'm a teacher, or I'm a social worker. I'm not in big business, so I don't need to know about Jewish business law. And the answer to that is, well, you'll see if that's a correct assumption after you hear from the Rabbi Cohen. Okay, I think this is one of those areas where we think, Rabbi, being Jewish is don't eat shrimp and be a nice guy, right? Well, okay, you're going to find out tonight that...
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Is that there's much more to being Jewish than a nice guy, and the question is, what does that mean to be a nice guy? And how do you treat your money and other people's money? I think it's going to be fascinating. Then we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to break it up in guys and girls and talk about the birds and the bees. It's going to be a fascinating discussion. I guarantee you, for those of you who've never heard the Jewish view of sexuality before, it will surprise you. We are not the Catholic Church for many reasons, and this is Rosh Verubam, as we say. This is one of the main reasons. We have an entirely different view of the role of sexuality and its positive role in life. Okay, so without any further ado, it's always a little bit daunting to introduce my rabbi, who I go to and call at what hours of the evening? Okay, and I get like, Garvinkel, what do you want? But really, it's hard for me to express how much he has on his shoulders and how much.
Okay. Talk about her.
They make time to come down to teach you because they value you and what you represent about the Jewish future. And please give a very warm Project 16 welcome to Rabbi and Rabbi Zev Cohen.
In case anybody's wondering why I have a suitcase here, it's because my wife and Rabbi Garfinkel convinced me to do this. I did not want to do what I'm about to do, but I'm going to do it. So, okay, you'll see. You'll see in a moment. Yes, I blamed on Rabbi Garfinkel also. Let's go first with the question I'd like to discuss tonight. Okay, my name is Zev Cohen. You can interrupt me at any time. And in case I get a little passionate about what I'm saying, I may go to my mother tongue. It's a language that many of you may not be familiar with. It's called Yeshivish. That's a combination of Hebrew, Aramaic, Yiddish, and English. So in case I go there, my wife will probably stop me long before I get there. This is my wife, Michal. She will interrupt me more than anybody else probably this evening to correct me or to help me.
Want me to sit next to you?
No, I do not want you to sit next to me. Thank you very much. Okay.
I don't want to sit next to you either.
Here we are. A woman calls up. Actually, this woman called her rabbi. Her rabbi called me. And I've been trying to get through to this woman for a while. I've not been able to get through to her. Her rabbi told me she's a little afraid to talk to me. I'm not exactly sure why. But here's her question. She invented a beauty product. And she wants to distribute it to many stores, retail stores throughout the Chicago area, hoping that they will like it, and hoping through that she'll become more successful, be able to distribute it further, etc., etc. Now, in order to distribute this product, she has made, several thousand of her product, and she's bringing it to stores that are open 6 or 7 days a week, including Shabbos. And they are going to be selling her product on consignment for her. Now, this is a very fascinating issue, and it's very cutting edge, even though the question may not sound cutting edge, but the derivatives of the question are kind of incredible. Is a Jewish person allowed to have their product be sold by a non-Jewish person on Saturday? They're in Antarctica, and their items are being sold in Chicago. Is that permissible or not? That's the question. They're doing nothing. They're keeping Shabbos, whatever they're doing, wherever they are, they're nowhere near their product, and someone else is selling the product for them. Is that permissible or not? Now, here's where Rabbi Garfinkel and my wife come in. They wanted me to demonstrate how a question like this is answered. Thus, the suitcase. This is the Chumash. Chumash means it's the Bible, 5 books of Moses. I use this every day. I carry this with me all the time.
Don't touch it.
If I get emotional, it's because I am very emotional. Now, the verse that we're going to begin with. I'm not even going to read all the thing. I want to show you. They wanted me to demonstrate. This is in the Chumash. Okay, we got the Chumash a little bit more than 3,000 years ago. 5 books of Moses. Everything is in here. Every letter. This is gone with me. Planes. You name it, I take this with me. Okay, now, after the Chumash,
Also known as the Torah.
also known as the Torah, we have a Gomorrah. Now, the Gomorrah,
Also known as the Talmud.
also known as the Talmud, thank you. The Gomorrah is this tractate is called Shabbos. Obviously, it's mostly about Shabbos. And this tractate takes a verse that's in the Torah and extrapolates what the verse means. That's a Gomorrah. Next, Gomorrah is divided into 2 parts, the Mishnah and the Gomorrah. The Mishnah was finished at about 150 CE. The Gomorrah was finished at about 500 CE. Okay? This, what's that? Explain the oral law. Okay, one more second, I'll explain the oral law. This is the Rambam. This is Maimonides. We are now at 1135 to 1204. He was born 1135, died 1204. The Rambam codified the Gomorrah. The Gomorrah explained the Torah. This is the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch, we're talking now. Oh, I don't think I brought it in. Okay, fine. Shulchan Aruch was written by Rabbi Yosef Karo, 1484 to 1570. He was born in Spain. He was there when we were expelled from Spain in 1492 as a young boy. The Spanish people thought they were going to destroy the Jewish people. Little did they know that the 8-year-old boy in that march was the person who was going to write the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is called, English means the set table. The Shulchan Aruch codified further what the Rambam wrote, who codified what the Gemara wrote, who codified what the Chumash wrote. Then there was a Jew who died in 1933. He was born in 1838. He died in a small city in Poland called Radin, R-A-D-I-N. Some of you may have heard of him. He was the Chofetz Chaim. Chofetz Chaim was one of the greatest people to live in the last 150 years. We could talk about the Chofetz Chaim from now till tomorrow morning without a break. No question about it. But he wrote a 6-volume work, which now they've added to. I have 5 different copies of this set, each one with different explanations in the back. And the biggest set I have right now is 24 volumes. They're continuously not revising what he wrote, explaining what he wrote. This is codifying all the, I should show you just 1 second. This is the page of Shulchan Aruch. This has, in the middle, that was written by Rabbi Yosef Karo. This is explanations. These are the explanations of this commentary. These are the explanation of those commentaries. In the back, there are more commentaries. Huh? What's that? Oh, wow, I was right.
That's why I wanted you to show it to them.
That's why I wanted me to show it to them. Okay, I am 65 years old. For the last, thank God, for the last 52 years, I've been studying most of my day. From the time I was 17, I graduated high school, and the question was whether I should go to university or not. I opted not to go to university. I've been basically studying, I don't know, I'd say between 8 and 10 or 11 hours a day.
Which university was recruiting the
Oh,
Don't tell us.
Yeah, this is the whole story.
When I was 17 years old, I was in high school, and I decided I did not want to go to college. My father called me up and asked me for a favor if I would apply to college, because I came from Boston, and Boston is, for those of you who know, has 300 universities. It is a college town of America. And my father asked me if I would apply to Harvard. So I applied to Harvard, and I wrote in the, after I told my father, this is ridiculous, it cost so much money, $25 in those days, to fill out the application. Forget about what it cost to go to the school. He said no, he wanted me to do it, so I filled out the application. The last page said, write an article on, for those people who remember, all of you are too young, but the Congo, or Vietnam, or a number of other issues. And the last issue was you can write an essay about why you want to go to Harvard. So I wrote to them, I would not step onto your campus. You can offer me a full scholarship and a car and an apartment. I'm not going because the fifth commandment says you should listen to your father and mother. My father asked me to apply. That's the only reason I'm applying. I want to learn Torah. I don't want to go to school. I'm finished. And they just kept on calling me. I made them thought I was some weirdo or something.
Wackos.
Yeah, that's it. And they called in those days. There were pay phones in school, and they called, Cohen, it's Harvard on the phone. And every week they were calling me, and I never took the phone calls. And then I was home, and they called my house, and I answered the phone. In those days we had 2 extensions on landlines. And I answered the phone, and my father, Allah Shalom, may rest in peace, answered the phone at the same time. He said, this is Mr. Green from Harvard. I'd like to speak to Zev Cohen. And I said, this is Zev Cohen, I. And as I said, I, my father on the other end said, what would you like? We'd like you to come for an interview. My father said, when? Tomorrow. I said, okay. So I went for an interview to Harvard. They told me I'm accepted. The dean would like to meet with me. And I said, I really have no interest in going. And that's what Rabbi Garfinkel wanted me to say over. And
But why? As a 17-year-old,
as a 17-year-old, I struggled. I was in love with basketball. And as a 17-year-old, I started to love learning Torah.
You're going to cry.
Yes, I'm going to cry. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, for 10 years I struggled between basketball and Torah. My wife was in the middle of all that. You know, we got married when I was 25. But until 27, then finally I understood that I really like learning Torah even more than basketball. And
I'm not sure I fit in.
and she fits in, and thank God we are married with many grandchildren, children and grandchildren, and I children came first.
You had to raise them in order to get
Yes.
them.
And I still have the opportunity, thanks to my wife, to spend most of my day learning Torah with the people in shul and answering questions with the people in shul, and this is basically what happens. I mean, I don't know. I probably have. I was going to count for you tonight, but I didn't. I probably have 2,500 to 3,000 volumes in my home library.
When we first got married, we lived in Lakewood, New Jersey, and the front door, when you walked in, there was a whole wall of bookcases. And that's where all his Jewish books were. And some guy knocks on the door, and I answer it, and he's a salesman. He's selling magazines. And I said to him, I'm really sorry, but we don't read. So he looks and he goes, what are you talking about? What's all that? And I was like, oh, that's not reading.
Okay, anyway, so that's what's going on here. There's a lot to know. There are some great Jews around who really, they know everything that it says in all these books. Very few in the world, but there are a few who know really everything. Every one of these comes with volumes. This is 6 volumes. This is, now in this set, it's about 20 volumes, and this is 20 volumes, and this is 6 volumes. There's a lot to know. And I'm not giving you everything here. There's a whole lot more in this line. Now, this line, as I said, we have the Torah, then we have the Talmud, the oral law, which was written down in 150 and 500, and then we have the codifiers who came along. The first codifier was not the Rambam, but he's the main codifier. Afterwards was the Shulchan Aruch.
What does that mean,
Codifier is a person who says everything that's in the Talmud, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. And then
organize the laws?
Everything is organized. I can't, what time is it?
Those the people writing.
Just tell me what time it is. What time I have to stop? Is
It's
7?
7. No, you have
No,
to
the
7:30.
codifiers wrote
Okay.
the text and then people comment on
The codifiers extrapolated from the text of the Gomorrah to say what you're supposed to do.
Who gave them the authority to have that? I mean, you can publish a volume of 50 books. Who's to say that, like, what, you know what I mean? How did they...
That's a great question. That's a great question. The greatest halachic decisor in the second half of the 20th century was named Rabbi Feinstein, Rabbi Moses Feinstein. He lived in the Lower East Side of New York. He was born in Europe. He escaped. He got here in 1935 from Russia, and he died in 1985. He was the greatest halachic decisor in the world, and he was once interviewed by the New York Times, and that's the question they asked him. Who made you the halachic decisor of the world? Was there an election? Was there a vote? It's an incredible question. And Rav Moshe Feinstein, Rav Moshe as he was known throughout the world, said that he was such a humble person. He said that Why am I so emotional? I love talking to Jewish people. Anyways, they asked Rabbi Feinstein, who made you? So he said, a few people asked me questions and I answered them. And they liked what I said. So they told a few more people, who told a few more people, who told a few more. I mean, it was such a humble answer. It's true. And at the end of the day, he got questions from all over the world. And if a person answers questions and people don't like what he says, so he doesn't make it. The Rambam made it. The Rambam had detractors. There were fights in the time of the Rambam, whether or not what he did was right or not right. Codifying the way he did it was the first time anybody ever did it that way. But he made it. Made it means that the people accepted him. And that's how things happen without an official vote, without, the greatest person alive today, one of the greatest people alive today, is a Jew in Bnei Brak, that's a city in Israel. His name is Reb Chaim Kanievsky. He never had a position in his life. He was never a rabbi, he was never a teacher. He just learns in his house all day. And every day, hundreds and hundreds of people knock on his door. Hundreds and hundreds of people knock on his door. And he's just been accepted as the greatest decisive or leader that there is. So that's a great question, but that's how it happens.
I just want to add just something. It's not just that he's popular, it's his level of expertise.
Yes.
It's just, they like his answer.
His level of expertise is that he knows everything it says in these books by heart. He just knows it all. He knows it all. He's just an incredible human being, and he studies. He's in the 14 to 16 hour range a day, if not more. His father-in-law was the greatest halachic decisive before him. It's not inherited. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of real hard work. I just need a tissue. Yeah. Okay. Now. So after all this codification, let's take a question, okay? Woman invents beauty product. She wants it to be sold. She doesn't sell. She doesn't own stores. She wants people in stores to sell it, and the people in stores are going to sell for her on Saturday. What is the issue? She's not doing anything wrong. Okay? Thank you very much. I'd like to ask you a question. People who want to keep Shabbos, they can't buy and sell. So can they get other people to buy and sell for them? Now let's talk for a minute, forget people. If you get an animal to do something for you on Shabbos, and you own that animal, is there anything wrong with that? You want to know what in the world you get your animal to do? Well, I'll tell you, if you live in the South, you train your dog to bring in the newspaper on Shabbos. And carrying on Shabbos, which means carrying something outside in a public domain, is something which is prohibited. A lot of laws and legalities, but let's make it simple. You can't carry things from outside inside. Can your dog carry something from outside inside? And the answer is no. No. Why? Because the Torah states explicitly for Shabbos, the Torah says explicitly that your animals can't work for you on Shabbos. Your animals cannot work for you on Shabbos. Okay, that's great. Now the Torah does not say anything about machines. What about machines? Can machines work for you on Shabbos? So the Talmud speaks about that. If you ever heard, I'm sure, of Hillel and Shammai, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, some of the earliest people in the Talmud, they had a disagreement. Beis Shammai said, your vessels cannot work for you on Shabbos, and Beis Hillel said, your vessels can work for you on Shabbos. We end up, this is an English word, but they don't use it in English this way. We end up holding, which means our position is that we take the position of Beis Hillel, and that means our vessels, in the time of the Talmud, or our machinery can do things for us. Therefore, nowadays, you can turn on your light before Shabbos and leave it on the entire Shabbos. You could turn on your light with a timer or with a computer system and allow your light to go on and off on Shabbos. Even though turning on a light on Shabbos is something you can't do, but your machine can do it. Can you have a vending machine that sells for you on Shabbos? Interesting question. And the biggest question that's going on all over the world right now for the last number of years is, what about a website? And the biggest question is, what's with Amazon? What's with Amazon? Can I give Amazon my product and let Amazon sell my product? These are fascinating questions. Fascinating questions. And in order to answer any of these questions, you have to understand, what did the Torah say? What did the Talmud say? What did the codifier say? And of course, the Rambam is not talking about Amazon. There was no Amazon at the time of the Rambam, right? There was no Amazon at the time of the Mishnah Berurah. He died in 1933. There was no time. There was no Amazon. And Rabbi Feinstein died in 1985. There was no Amazon. But there is Amazon today. So there are leading people around the world who are dealing with these questions all the time. Okay, now, there's a concept in this world, in secular law as well as in Jewish law, it's very interesting to go through the history of how secular law very often extrapolated things from Jewish law, because Jewish law was first. Something called agency. What does agency mean? Agency means I appoint an agent, and I ask the agent to do something for me. Now, when I ask an agent to do something for me, who's doing it? That's a fascinating question. Who's doing it? Here's a question. Somebody came to me and showed it. Sounds like such a minor question, but I spent 3 weeks on the question. You all know what a gopher is, right, in the office? A gopher? A gopher is the guy who goes for. And so he's called the gopher. Go get me this. Go for this. Go for that. Right? A kid, a 19-year-old college kid, was home for the summer. He was hired for 2 months downtown in an office to be the gopher. Okay? Let's say a Jewish kid is hired on Pesach. Okay, and he's going to work during the intermediary days of Pesach. And the boss says, here's a 10. Go downstairs. The guy, I just looked out my window. Get me a bottle of Coke and a bag of pretzels. Here's $10. Bring it upstairs for me. So, you can't eat pretzels on Pesach. They're chametz, 100% chametz. Okay, so who owns those pretzels? It sounds like such a minor question. Who owns those pretzels?
They both do.
They both do. What do you mean they both do? Do you have to share with the boss when you bring it upstairs? Who owns the pretzels? It's such an interesting question.
The vendor until you buy them.
The vendor until you buy. Who bought them?
The boy bought them, but not.
Oh, the boy bought them?
But not with his money.
Oh, not with his money. Fine. Who owned those pretzels when he took it out of the vendor's hand?
Jill, we have a lawyer here. Go
only-
ahead,
We have a lawyer here.
So if it's from,
I'm also a lawyer.
so,
Go ahead.
so from a legal perspective, if the vendor,
As a matter of fact, I'm a judge. You have to listen to me. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
if the vendor doesn't know that the boy was acting on someone else's behalf,
Right.
then it would just be the boy would own them, or
Okay, see, what second? Boy owning them. Torah says you can't own anything. The Gomorrah codifies it. The Rambam brings it down. Brings it down is also one of these English words that now have the. Brings it down means he writes it down. Shulchan Aruch writes it down. Mishnah Berurah writes it down. You're not allowed to own chametz on Pesach. Forget about eating it. You can't own it. You can't own it. So the question was, should he tell the boss? Oh, excuse me.
The boss is not Jewish?
The boss was not Jewish. What was the real question? It was not Pesach, it was during the summer. What was the real question? The boss said, go down to McDonald's and buy 6 cheeseburgers. Now, besides not being able to eat cheeseburgers, you're not allowed to own a cheeseburger. You're not allowed to own a cheeseburger. You're not allowed to derive any benefit from a cheeseburger.
The boy doesn't gain anything from it, right?
Yes, he does.
No, that's true, but gaining may not.
He keeps his job.
Well, yeah, that's secondary. But lawyer, the boy doesn't gain anything from it. That has nothing to do with ownership, correct? Benefits has nothing to do with ownership,
no, it's different.
right? Yeah, you're right. So this was the big question. Should he tell his boss, I'm sorry, I'll do anything else you ask of me except to go to McDonald's and buy cheeseburgers? That was a big, you know what the word tumult means? Tumult, what's a tumult? Tumult, okay. Tumult is a big, heavy-duty discussion. This morning at 9:30, we have a learning session that goes for 3 hours with a bunch of post-graduate rabbis. Everybody's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And we discuss Jewish law. So I told them I'm having this class tonight. I'm nervous. A bunch of Jewish intellectuals who I don't know. We're all gifted intellectually. And I'm going to say something. And I want you, I challenge everybody. It's called the Kolo. The Garfinkel's there sometimes. I said, I want you to explain it to me. Explain it to me what I should say tonight. Tell me exactly what it means. Who owns what and what owns who? I want to say something. There's a garage about a mile from here. 2 Jews, religious Orthodox Jews, own 51% of the garage, and 49% was owned by a very nice Italian Catholic man. Okay, this is a parking garage, 24/7 parking garage. So how can an Orthodox Jew, or can an Orthodox Jew, own a parking garage that's open 24/7, including Shabbos? Can you own? No, he's in West Rogers Park. He's not nowhere near this parking garage. But this parking garage is operating 24/7. It's being run by a bunch of kids, 18-year-olds, whatever, who are running up and down, parking the cars and bringing the cars. And on top of the garage is an apartment building, and around the corner is a restaurant, and the restaurant has to deal with the parking garage, and everybody up top in the apartment building has to deal with the parking garage. And it's open 24/7, and it's got to be open 24/7 because people are bringing in the cars and leaving in the middle of the night 24/7. So the guy, the owner, came to us and said, is there any way that we can buy this business? Be 51% partners with a 49% partner who's non-Jewish. So there is a way you can do it. We wrote up a special contract for this person with a management company that would break the connection between the two Jews and the people working in the business. Now, how do you do that? The management company was owned and operated by the non-Jew. But they told the non-Jew like this: you don't have to open the garage on Shabbos. You don't have to. If you don't open the garage on Shabbos, there's going to be a lot of people angry. We'll take all the anger. We'll take all the flack. We'll take it all. We'll take all the heat. If you do decide to open the garage on Shabbos, you make 49 cents on every dollar. We make 51 cents on every dollar. So now, here's the question of the night. You ready? Time. Give me your 7:15. Okay. 7:12.
For 7:12.
Okay.
Verizon.
Now listen to me. Here's the question of the night. Question of the night is like this: if I tell that non-Jewish partner, you don't have to open the garage on Shabbos, you can keep it closed, and I'll take all the heat, but he opens the garage on Shabbos. Now here's the question: why is he opening the garage? For the Jewish partners or for himself?
For himself.
For himself. Why not for the Jewish partners?
They said he didn't have to.
They said he didn't have to. They're going to make 51 cents on the dollar. Does that mean he opened it for the Jewish partners or not? Why did he open this garage? You're right. Tell me why, but make it clear. Tell me clearly, why did he open the garage? Because he wants to make 49 cents on the dollar. That's why he opened the garage. It happens to be that the Jewish people will make 51%. Okay, that's fine. I didn't tell him to open the garage. As a matter of fact, I told him not to open the garage. Don't open the garage. And if you don't open the garage again, I'll take the heat and I'll take the flack. Don't open the garage. He decided that he's going to open the garage. That's great. He's going to make 49 cents on the dollar. That is called, in halacha, a daite de nafshe. The person is working for himself, not for me. Now this is a very, very serious issue. Very serious issue. This has been going on for 200 years. Long time. This fight of how can a person be in business and his product can be sold or operated on Shabbos. Now I want to tell you something. My great-grandfather came to America in 1904. 1904, moved to Massachusetts, a town 25 miles outside of Boston. He became a chicken farmer. He never was ever machal Shabbos, meaning he never broke Shabbos. How would you translate machal in English?
Desecrate.
Never desecrated Shabbos. Thank you. He never desecrated Shabbos. Okay. His son, my grandfather, became a cattle farmer. That's the farm that I spent all my summers on. I milked 80 cows a day. It was terrific. Great. I had a pony. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Blackie was the name, right? I can talk in the show about this all the time. They think I'm out of my mind. You know, this guy with a black cat, and I'm on the farm. And my grandfather had a farm. He also was never machal Shabbos. He never desecrated Shabbos. But there's a problem. You can't own a farm and not desecrate Shabbos, because if you don't milk the cows, a cow can't go 24 hours without being milked. Impossible. Has to be milked at least twice a day. Now they milk cows 3 times a day. At least twice a day the cows. So who's milking the cow? So he had non-Jews working on the farm. They were milking the cows. How about the milk? After it's milked, can you use the milk after it's milked? Was milked on Shabbos? That's a very big question. Who owns the milk? What you do with the milk? All types of issues. This is going back hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. These are real issues here. Now, my grandfather's sitting in shul in the synagogue, and he's praying. And my great-grandfather's sitting next to him. And my great-uncle, who became the chicken farmer because he was the son of my great-grandfather. And my uncles, who were the sons of my grandfather, were all in the cattle business. 5 sons he had. My grandfather had 5 sons, 6 sons. One died early. 5 sons, and one son became a veterinarian. My other 4 uncles all were in the cattle business. And what do you do? How do you work a cattle business if the cows have to be milked? I mean this with the greatest respect and sensitivity. Is a woman allowed to pump on Shabbos? Meaning she's nursing. A baby's allowed to nurse from his mother. That's not a question. That's permissible. Can a mother pump on Shabbos because she wants to save the milk for the child? Terrific question. Unbelievable question. The tentacles just continue to go out. They go out all over the place. And that's why the more a person knows, the more a person can extrapolate, the more a person can think, the more a person can answer. The questions are incredible. It's the most exciting thing in the world. I'm telling you, it's the most exciting thing in the world. It's more exciting than hitting a shot from half court at the buzzer. I did that once. I'm telling you, I thought it was the greatest thrill in the world, but it's not. This is much more exciting. Unbelievably exciting. Now, so let's get back to this woman. What does this woman want? She wants her product to be sold. By who? By the non-Jewish owner of the store. When? 7 days a week. Now, is she telling him to sell on Shabbos or not to sell on Shabbos? That's a problem. She wants her product to be sold on Shabbos because Saturday is the best shopping day. And she wants her product to get out there. So she's sitting somewhere again in a shul in West Rogers Park, or she's sitting home, or whatever she's doing. She has nothing to do with this product being sold on Shabbos, except that she gave the product to a non-Jew to sell 7 days a week. That's the issue. That's the real issue. It's possible that she could tell the non-Jewish woman, I prefer that you don't sell my product on Saturdays. The non-Jewish woman can say, very nice, and tell her, you're out of your mind. You think I'm taking it off the shelves on Saturday? No way I'm taking it off the shelves on Saturday. She didn't prohibit me from selling it on Saturdays. She says, I prefer you don't sell it on Saturdays. If you do sell it on Saturdays, of course the woman who's selling it is going to make a profit also from the product, whatever their percentages are. But now she's selling it on Saturdays, not because the Jewish woman told her to sell it on Saturdays. Now, all this is extremely delicate, subtle, maybe subtle, but you can work it out. But it has to be worked out. It has to be worked out. For the person, because nowadays, unlike my great-grandfather in 1904, every business is open 24/7. I'm not even talking about forget the mall stores. Everybody has websites, and everything's cooking all over the place. And the website may not be the problem, except that the website sometimes is going to send out a truck. And the truck's going to deliver the product. And when you ask for the delivery of the product on Friday afternoon to get it delivered on Saturday, many people all over the world, I'm talking about Orthodox people, people all over the world, Jewish, not Jewish, everybody is selling through Amazon or selling through websites with, click, I want my delivery tomorrow.
Does it matter if it's your Shabbos or if it's someone else's?
That's a great question. That's a great question. That's another very interesting question. I'm at a business meeting. I'm a big guy at a business meeting. It's 11 o'clock Friday morning, and it's this time of year. And as business meetings go, either we're Skyping or it's a conference call, and people are on the phone from all over the world. And you look at your clock, and it's 11 o'clock, which means it's 7 o'clock in Israel, which is Shabbos. And one of the guys on the conference call is Jewish, and he's on the phone on Shabbos in Israel. Now, he doesn't keep Shabbos, but you do keep Shabbos. Can you talk to him on Shabbos? The answer is no. You cannot be on a conference call with a Jew, and for the Jew it's Shabbos. Okay, you want to hear a fascinating question? People live in Australia who leave Australia on Friday, and they land in Los Angeles on Thursday. Okay? Okay, whether you get it or don't get it, whether you believe it or don't believe it, that's what happens. You take off Friday and you land Thursday. But for 3 hours while you're flying, it's Shabbos. So what do you do on the plane? You want to know what happened this year? This year, because of the way the calendar fell out, a guy with his family left on Friday morning from Australia, and for 3 hours it was Yom Kippur. Can you get on that plane? And if you can get on the plane, what do you do when you're on the plane? So you can get on the plane. It's not the best way to fly, but there was no way to, because of the calendar, there was no way to get, he couldn't get to his parents who live in Chicago unless he flew the day after Yom Kippur. Otherwise, no other way to get there because of the way the calendar came out. So for 3 hours on the plane, pardon me for saying this, but for 3 hours on the plane, he could not use the restroom because the restroom was electronic. Okay, so they worked that out, but we couldn't watch a movie for 3 hours on the plane. The joke was, I told him it was Yom Kippur for 3 hours on the plane. Tshuva, I know what tshuva is. What is tshuva, Rabbi Garfinkel? Yom Kippur, the mitzvah is to repent. So I said, you got another 3 hours to repent. You can be on the plane, go repent for 3 hours because it became Yom Kippur again. Okay, fine, whatever it was, whether you could do that or not. But nobody had that shaila 150 years ago. It was impossible. What do you mean it became Yom Kippur again? Huh? Nobody had that question 150 years ago. It was impossible. You couldn't become Yom Kippur again. It's not possible to do that. What?
Can he eat during
No, you cannot eat also. Thank you for asking that question. You can't eat. You have to fast in Kippur. You can't eat for those 3 hours either. His kids could eat, but he can't eat. He couldn't eat. Okay, 3 hours, nobody would die by not eating for 3 hours, Especially you can eat before and eat after. But that's a fascinating question. So I'm just telling you like this. Here's the question. Can my dog do something for me on Shabbos? Can my horse do something for me on Shabbos? The answer is no. Can my horse eat on Shabbos? Picking up grass, pulling grass out of the ground is prohibited on Shabbos. What I do with my horse can't eat on Shabbos. My horse eating is not doing something for me. That's not a problem. My dog bringing in the paper, that's a problem. My dog bringing in the paper, that's a problem. Or my horse carrying something to somewhere else, that would be a problem. Okay, but it's not that relevant. Now it's just the opposite. These questions are no longer relevant except for the door question. The door question was from Memphis, where people have very big front lawns and they get the paper delivered. I don't know who still gets the paper delivered, but those people still get the paper delivered and have a dog and send out the dog. This question is written up by a great rabbi who is no longer alive, whose name was Rabbi Greenblatt. Okay, so here is I call it the beauty or the excitement or the passion of being able to extrapolate from what the Torah wrote, or what is written in the Torah, to what the Gomorrah wrote, to what the Rambam wrote, to what the Shulchan Aruch wrote, to what the Mishnah Berurah wrote. That's the beauty of this. Now, okay, we're finished. 7:20. What time is it? I don't want to.
23. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
What does this woman do though? We're on the edge of our seats.
This woman is going to have to tell the people that she prefers that they not sell her product on Saturday, according to my opinion. That's my opinion. Many people disagree with me. Many people hold I'm too stringent, and she could do it because she's not telling them to sell on Saturday. She doesn't have to tell them not to sell on Saturday. She didn't tell them to sell on Saturday. If somebody brings their shirts into the cleaners, and sunset today is whatever, 4:21, 4:22. Somebody brings their shirts into the cleaners, brings in 25 shirts to the cleaners at 4 o'clock, and tells the cleaners, I'm going to come tomorrow, Saturday night at 5:30 to pick up my cleaners, pick up my shirts, I'm going to New York. I need them for the plane. So most authorities would hold that that's prohibited because you're telling them to do it on Saturday. But if you bring your shirts on a Thursday morning, and you tell them I'm going to pick it up Saturday night, you're not telling them to do it on Saturday. They can do it on Thursday. They can do it on Friday.
But isn't that a white lie? Like, isn't that lying?
Why? What's lying? Why am I lying? I'm not telling them what to do. They can do it anytime they want. I'm telling them I need it Saturday night, as long as they have time. But if I bring it in Friday afternoon and they have no time to do my shirts except on Saturday, then I have a problem. Yes, I'm sorry. Go.
Does it make a difference if the person who works at the cleaners is Jewish?
Oh, that's a terrible difference. I'm not even going there. If the person who's working in the cleaners is Jewish, then you got major issues, but not too many ways to get around them. Yes.
How do these Orthodox people that own the nursing home?
Oh, the nursing homes. Here he is, the $64 million question. Wednesday morning, this just worked out because Rabbi Garfinkel has this magic potion. He's been after me that we should come down to give this class. We finally decided in this date. Little did I know that on Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, there's a 24-hour session called H3, in which Orthodox business owners from around the country are going to be meeting to discuss questions. I am going to give a class about this question. I don't mean that you couldn't deal with the depth. I'm just going to give a lot. I'm going to be dealing with a lot more issues because these people, nursing home issues are incredibly challenging. For those people who don't know what a nursing home is, when people own a nursing home can have 30 people working in the nursing home, 7 days a week, 24/7. And you have all types of people doing all types of things, taking blood, cooking food, washing clothing. All these things are prohibited on Saturday. You can't do those things on Shabbos. And these people are doing them for you on Shabbos. So how do you structure a nursing home in a way that you will be able to avoid all those problems? Making lots of money. Yeah, God is not against God is not against making money. It's a very good thing to make money. But you can't. When you make money, the money has to be kosher. Money has to be kosher, and kosher money is what we're doing here. People's money has to be kosher. It can't be non-kosher. What does kosher money mean? It means that it has to belong to you. It can't belong to somebody else. It can't belong to the government. It can't belong to your next door neighbor. It has to belong to you. And that's what That's what we really spend most of our time on, deciding how the money that a person earns is really his money.
What about Amazon? So selling on Amazon. So we heard the difference of the Rav's approach to another rabbi's approach about this woman, if she needs to actively tell the store not to sell, or is it enough just to let the person decide? But what about Amazon? You want to post on Amazon, or you have your own store website.
There's a 44-year-old man, maybe he's 45, in Lakewood, who just wrote a book, a sefer and business and halacha, and a big part of it is dealing with Amazon, and there is a tremendous multi-million dollar retail business in New York, which is called B&H. B&H, it's basically into electronics. It's mystifying, this business, because it's closed on Saturday, completely closed, and the website is closed. He closed his website, which many people are of the opinion he didn't have to, and many people are of the opinion that it's much better to close the website. How do you know he closed the website? Maybe he just told you to close it. How do you know he closed it?
You try.
Well, if you're Orthodox, you're not going to try. How do you know to close the website?
Someone else try.
Someone at different times.
Oh, there you are. That's why I pointed to you. Israel, 9 o'clock at night, Saturday. It's no longer Shabbos. Try the website. Doesn't work.
Is that prohibitive if they're Jewish to go on a Jewish website?
That's a great question. Answer is it's permissible. It's permissible. Then after you get to permissible, then there are things that are not so good to do. I know a person who used to call his family when they had answering machines, that you could hear the voice. Remember those days, answering machines? He used to call when he worked a lot in Japan. He was out of the country a lot, and he used to call his family when they were eating lunch on Shabbos, and he would tell them a thought about that week's Torah reading, and so some people are of the opinion that you can't send yourself into Shabbos in a different time zone, even though you're not really doing anything. You're not talking to another Jew over there. You're not doing that. Could you fax? Could you email? Could you call somebody on the? Okay, I'm giving you a little bit of a touch here. Obviously, there's much more to talk about. We could go straight till tomorrow morning with this question alone. There's a tremendous amount of issues, but I just wanted to give you a taste. This is like, as I said before, it's delicious, it's wonderful, it's incredible, it's exciting, but it's real. And you're dealing with people's lives. See, what you asked is a very serious question. I've been dealing with the nursing homes now. I've been dealing with nursing homes now for at least the last 4 years. These are very, 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 very serious issues of how they do what they do and keep Shabbos, keep Yontif, holidays, and all the. May I mention a sensitive issue?
The whole second half is going to be sensitive, bro. Lead it up.
A Jewish person owns a nursing home. A lot of things in a nursing home. Most nursing homes have non-kosher food. That's a problem. But on December 25th, most nursing homes have trees that are decorated. Who owns that tree? The owner of the nursing home. Somebody came to me today and asked me a question. You own a nursing home. You bought a nursing home. The nursing home was owned by the Catholic Church. It's no longer owned by the Catholic Church. They sold it. You bought it. The people there are still Catholics. In the middle of the nursing home is a church. You allowed to own a church? Great question. Great question. I could just tell you questions from now till tomorrow morning. These are great questions. The guy came in this morning and asked us that question: can you own a church? You cannot own a church. Absolutely not. The Jewish person cannot own a church. But the question is, what do? You got a nursing home. You bought a nursing home inside the church. People want to go pray in the church because they've been used to praying in the church. Okay, I told them we have to get back. What? Okay, but they don't want to call it a prayer room. It's not called a prayer room. It's it has certain vessels in it which don't make it a prayer room. They make it into a church.
Can you sell the church to somebody else?
That's a great question. That's a great question. You know why it's a great question? Can you sell the nursing home to somebody else?
Well, why didn't you just buy it as an asset?
Buy the who?
Excluded liability. You should have structured it as an asset purchase with like the.
I don't think they
Church.
right. Yeah, that's true. That could be. What you're saying right now is really what you're saying also. One of the ways to get around this, which is very complicated, very severe contracts have been written up about this. Can you be the owner of the nursing home but sell the entire nursing home to somebody else? And because the person doesn't pay you what he owes you for the nursing home, you will maintain rights of making decisions even though the nursing home won't be yours. The lawyer over here will tell us whether or not that's legal to do. And yeah, okay, I know. That's one of the structures that have been utilized here. You got to be very creative because Shabbos trumps. Sorry, in case some people don't like that word. Shabbos trumps, and you got to be careful that you give Shabbos its proper space. Okay, Rabbi Garfinkel, I'm ready to stop whenever you tell me to stop.
Okay, so I think we'll stop now. We're going to have a quick break. Yes, give it to Rabbi Cohen.
Yeah.
What do you think?